Next question is,
yes.
So what if Raila says we are supporting William Ruto in 2027? Then what?
William Ruto will lose that election with Raila's support.
Okay.
Yes.
I think.
Safi, karibu tena mtazamaji, hapa ni Bonita Media na kama kawaida kwa majina anaitwa Boniface Owino. Samahani nina shida kidogo ya kifua lakini najua kwamba mambo itakuwa sawa. Ndio maana nimefanya video hii late hours. Nilifaa kuifanya mchana lakini sikuwa nahisi vizuri sana, hata sijaenda kazini. Nimeshinda hapa kwa nyumba. Sisikii vizuri lakini licha ya mtazamaji, kazi lazima iendelee. Nimeamua tu kufanya video hii jioni leo kwa sababu kuna mambo muhimu sana ambayo singependa ya kupite. In case huku watch the daybreak ambayo ilikuwa na Edwin Sifuna, Okot na Ojienda kule asubuhi. Na kuna mambo kadha wa kadha ambazo Sifuna alikuwa anasema. Acha nianze na kuuliza hivi. Ya kwamba I think imefika pahali ambapo Edwin Sifuna hapaswi kuwekwa na hawa watu kwenye panel. So wale watu ambao wamuelewi, kwa sababu Edwin Sifuna will always tackle them the way he wants. Atakuwa anazungumza nao tu jinsi ambavyo yeye mwenyewe anataka. Ukijaribu kuenda hivi atakupeleka hivi. Ukijaribu kuleta swali atasema Edwin Sifuna amesema kwamba wakati anaulizwa, I think ni Okot alikuwa anasema kwamba Edwin Sifuna atamsupport William Ruto. It's just a matter of time na but Edwin Sifuna atamsupport William Samoei Ruto coming 2027. Sifuna akasema kwamba mimi sita support William Ruto liwe liwalo hata nini ifanyike. Sitamsupport. Alafu nyingine pia anasema kwa Edwin Sifuna amesema kwamba hata William Ruto hata akisupportiwa na ODM bado ataanguka kura mwaka 2027. Sasa mtazamaji, sitazungumza sana. Ningependa wewe mwenyewe usikize, utazame mpaka mwisho. Usikize na utazame mpaka mwisho, alafu baadaye mtazamaji, iwapo tutakutana kwa mara ya kwanza, usikose kuchukua sekunde yako moja ama zako mbili. Uenda chini kwenye sehemu maoni, niambie maoni yako ni gani, unatazama video hii ukiwa wapi. Na kisha mambo itakuwa. Vile vile ningependa kuwashukuru wale ambao tayari washanipa support yao, kwa sababu bila support yenu basi channel haizi ka grow, haizi kukua pale ambapo ilipo hadi wa sasa. Tazama mtazamaji.
So as ODM, I'm telling you, and I've said it on this show, and I've said it on this show, Trevor, my position is, even if ODM supports Ruto will still lose. I have said it here and I repeat it. So I want to make it very clear that as a party, we do not support either the internal affairs or the way the external affairs of this country are being run. And this is a repudiation.
Because he said when the party leadership comes back, he will give direction.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. Let me make another thing clear. Yeah. ODM will only enter into alliances with political parties that are like-minded. Political parties that are pro-people. People who can manage a country. You are not going to force us into an alliance with incompetent people. And it has been demonstrated that the Kenya Kwanza government is the most incompetent so far from independence. So they have mismanaged our country. They have mismanaged our democracy. They have mismanaged our economy. They have now mismanaged our international affairs. So our standing in the community of nations is now under, in tatters.
My direct question is,
yes.
So what if Raila says we are supporting William Ruto in 2027? Then what?
William Ruto will lose that election with Raila's support.
Okay.
Yes.
I think.
Sifuna, do we have a failed foreign relations diplomacy? So
I think we have failed everything. After Ruto has messed up our internal affairs, he has done a stellar job messing up our foreign affairs. And there is now broad consensus in the country that this election in the AU was a proper repudiation of everything that William Ruto stands for on the global stage, and in particular in the African region. It was a referendum on Kenyan's foreign policy. Yesterday I gave a story of how I started my politics in the rural areas, and I know you want to run for Nyakach. I have a piece of advice for you, my brother, because you are here.
No,
yeah, I am the SG of ODM, and I am actively looking for candidates who can win. And I know Trevor has ambitions there in Nyakach. And because you are in Nairobi, Trevor, you will face the same spectre that I faced when I tried to run in Kandui, that you're operating out of Nairobi because you work here. And sometimes you might not have opportunity to attend important functions at home, so you have to look for somebody to send to speak for you, maybe to bring a donation for you. That person must be of stellar character. If you pick somebody in the rural areas there whose family is known for night running, although I know that in those regions, night running is not necessarily frowned upon. But I am just saying, if you send somebody to speak for you who has a history of bad manners, that is how the people of Nyakach will view you. So I was telling people yesterday that for as long as the candidate was being fronted by a regime which is perceived as a regime that has bad manners on the global stage, then it was obvious that it was going to rub off on the candidate. All the instances that have been quoted here from the first day that Ruto was elected, the goof about Sarawi, and of course the extradition of my friend Kizza Besigye to be handed over to a military trial in Kampala, and the hosting of the RSF. There is no way, Trevor, even you, if there is somebody calling himself an arbiter, you are fighting with your wife, but you see the guy every day with your wife chilling there and enjoying a good time, there is no way you can accept that person as a neutral arbiter, because in these issues you need somebody to have an appearance of neutrality. There is
this.
Yes.
My last point is this. Sifuna here will not be the next senator of Nairobi.
Okay, we'll see.
This chest-thumping, which I see from both sides, from Sifuna, from ODM, from Akina Ruto and the rest, is what really even costed Raila the AEC position. That's chest-thumping.
You have just told us it was the M23 issue.
No.
Now you're saying it's Sifuna'S chest-thumping.
No, but
my friend, make up your mind.
Listen, it's part of all that. I mean, I don't just make one point. Did you make only one point?
Make up your mind.
Yeah? So listen, so this chest-thumping is the reason why they have never even won an election.
Okay.
This is chest-thumping. Is the reason they never even promoted any constitutional proposal amendment. I did it. Despite him, the Punguza Mizigo went through the counties, and you ganged up with Uhuru to oppose the Punguza Mizigo. Yet it was a very good idea. Okay. They even promoted an attempted coup in my party, and I beat them in court.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Ojienda.
So,
who is interested in your party, man, my friend?
Because I was successful.
No.
I was very successful, Trevor, in promoting a constitutional amendment under Article 257 of the Constitution, which ODM tried in 2005 with the chest-thumping, and they failed miserably. Okay. They could not even garner 1 million votes.
Okay.
I'm sure right now they are filing a petition in the regional court to say that Kurazao zilibiwa huko Addis Ababa.
Trevor, it is very embarrassing for us sometimes to be in a committee and you're hosting serious people who have come before the committee, and the chairperson is inept, is unable to do the job of chairperson. I have been embarrassed personally, sitting in a committee there, and you can see the person who's the chairperson is struggling, yet there are still members of that committee who can run the show. And that is why sometimes you see some of us hijacking proceedings of those committees, because we know that the person who was there, he was put there because he's from the majority party, but he cannot do the job. At this particular tail end of the Senate, I think there is consensus amongst senators that now it is time to get down to business and conclude the business that we started in the first half. And that therefore, we want serious leadership in our committees. I am not going to be in a committee where there is ineptitude. I joined the Security, Defense and Foreign Relations Committee this particular session because there's things we want to do in that Security Committee. We want to do an audit of all the abductions that have happened in this country. I want to understand Kenya's foreign policy. I want that Korir Sing'oei to come before my committee with his big English and tell us how he could allow Kizza Besigye to be abducted from Kenya. That is why I am in that committee. And I want a serious chairperson, somebody who believes in the rule of law. You are not going to just front any person for committee chairmanship and tell us that this is the person who's going to lead us. We are going to vote in that committee. I want a serious chairperson in the committees that I belong to.
Who is, Sifuna is you call him the SG that ODM has. Speaks well, resonates well with the people, and that is okay. But with this same energy that he has and his excellent tongue, he's an excellent SG. He will support President Ruto. I can tell you. Okay. It's just a matter of time. He will get the direction, and we will be together. Okay. He's a good man.
Trevor, what usually upsets me?
You're a good man.
What usually upsets me when I come on these shows with my colleagues here is when they want to speak for me, and I'm seated right here, and to speak for my political party when they are not members of my political party. When Ekuru, I was saying that you run a small outfit, it was not to deride you. It was to tell you that ODM is a different animal. Even if you told me you will pay me $1 million shillings, I cannot tell you who's the deputy party leader of his party. Nobody knows who the SG of his party is. There's in fact, that entire outfit is just Ekuru Okot. That tells you that it is easy for you to control the narrative. Can I speak? Let me speak. It is easy for him to control the narrative in his outfit because it's only Ekuru there. In ODM is a mass movement of over 5 million people, Trevor. And these people have democratic rights to speak. But if you want to know the position of the party, a position of a party is arrived at following meetings of organs of political parties. And I don't know if his party, what is the name of the party?
No,
what is the name of his party? Third Way Alliance. How can a party be called Third Way and you're only one person in there? It should be called One Way Alliance. How is it an alliance with who? So I don't know if there are organs of the party in that Third Way Alliance that mirror or reflect ODMs, because we have over 12 organs of the party from the Central Committee all the way to the National Delegates Convention. So in ODM, people will have divergent views. You cannot expect everybody to sing in the same choir. And people have various reasons why they do the things they do. Ojienda sings because he knows why he sings. He knows why he sings. It is not because that he has the interest of the people of Kisumu. In his own constituency of Kisumu, immediately the AU results were announced and the people of Kondele were there watching live. What were these people saying? Immediately the vote was called. They were saying Ruto must go. Those are the people. There was no one to incite them. There was no time to incite anyone. These things were happening in real time. They were happening in real time. They were saying, I need my time to respond. There are many things that you have said.
I have a right of response.
Now, yes, you will respond. You will respond. Somebody goes to the ballot to re-elect a president is the things they have done for them at an individual level. How has he managed the affairs of the country? How has he managed the economy? Are Kenyans happier? Are Kenyans in a better place than when he took over? How is the state of health? How is the state of education? How is the state of our economy, Trevor? If you are telling me that you're going to re-elect Ruto because he gave Baba a lift from the hotel to the venue of the AUC election, there's something very wrong with you. There's people who are telling us that they will vote for Raila, for Ruto, to spite those two mamambogas who are singing that they were happy in Karatina. Two mamambogas at a market in Karatina who are singing and saying they're happy that Baba lost. Now people tell us we vote for Ruto to punish those people. What sort of sense is that? That is not common sense. It is absolute absurdity. I want to tell William Ruto that the only reason he will be re-elected, because everybody knows that even him pretending to front Raila, because Raila himself has told us that he did not ask Ruto to support him. And when he announced that he was going to run for this thing, it was of his own volition. He said it himself. If there is somebody lying to Ruto, because everybody knows this was supposed to be a ruse to try and come and blackmail, because he knows people love Baba. He knows people love Baba. So he comes and tells us, oh, I supported him, I helped him, I did this for him, and this and that, so that he blackmails Raila supporters emotionally, because we like when people do good things for Baba and when they honor him. But what has he done for us as a people? The people who are going to vote in this particular election will be asking those questions. Let me finish by saying that Ekuru has made a prediction here that there will be a referendum. Ekuru doesn't know how Ruto fears the people. Ruto cannot dare to put a referendum question to the people of Kenya right now. And in fact, I said yesterday, it is an insult to Raila Odinga to tell him that you can bring a constitutional amendment to put a seat for Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga fought for this constitution not because it was going to create a seat for him. He wanted us to live in dignity. He wanted us to live in a country where we are free. So you cannot tell us that you will bring a referendum. To do what? To support a constitutional change to give Raila a seat. As I've said, Raila is not idle. He has things to do. He is a father, he is a husband, he is a grandfather, he is a party leader, he's a leader of the opposition. So he has things to do, Trevor. He's not idle. And I've said it here myself previously, that when Raila wants something, he will use his own mouth to tell us. There are messages that are too important to send Ojienda. I am telling you, if Raila wants to support Ruto in 2027, he will not send Ojienda. For heaven's sake, that is a message too important to be left to Ojienda, or in fact any other person. He will tell us himself. And I am telling you, I will respect his decision. If he says he's going to support Ruto, I will respect that decision. But I am telling you, and I have said it, I will tell him, I've told him, that because as SG of ODM, I have a global view of the country. I get calls from Tana River. This guy does not know. If you ask him to tell me the chairperson of ODM in Tana River, Oscar Kaseme speaks to me and he tells me in Tana River, people are saying, even if you support Ruto, you will fail. I get calls from Kericho, from Turkana. You know, that is the reason why I am convicted, because these are not things I just come up within my head. I have a global view of the country. I have networks across the country. Okay. People tell me, I call my chairperson in Nyandarua, and I ask him, were those two people who are singing in Karatina, do they reflect the view of the people in Nyandarua? Okay. And he says no. Okay. So, Tom Ojienda oscillates between Muhoroni and Kondele. I have a global view of the country. He doesn't speak to the people in Kwale. Okay. So when I say these things, I know my sources, Trevor. All right. We want to make it very clear.
Trevor,
I deserve a right of response. No, there's something he said. There's something he said finally here, that he and Sifuna will support Ruto. Yes. In that booth, I want you to bring your cameras on the day of the election. Yes. Personally, there is no way I can support Ruto. There is no way. So let me just reiterate. Let me just reiterate.
I'll give you a chance. My condole people.
I must have a right of response to his allegations.
Yeah. When you respond, tell us who's the chairman of Third Way Alliance. I have told you, Trevor, there are messages too important to be left with Aladwa.
That is the chairman.
That's what I'm telling you, and I'm the SG. And I've said in ODM, everybody will be allowed to say their piece. Aladwa has one vote, Sifuna has one vote. Let him cast his vote for Ruto. I will not cast my vote for Ruto. It is that simple. This is the democracy that we enjoy in ODM. Let him speak. And you see, the thing that amuses me is that these guys will run around saying all sorts of things. They say, oh, we will support Ruto. When Sifuna says he will not support Ruto, suddenly they cry for months. Like after this show, they'll be wailing for a month, saying, oh, how can Sifuna say this? I have a mouth. Just like Aladwa's mouth. In fact, we are the same because he's a Luya like me. Aladwa can say things because he has the democratic freedom to say those things. If he has decided that he's going to vote for Ruto in 2027, that is up to Aladwa. He knows what he's getting out of there. But I cannot, for heaven's sake, reconcile my conscience to support a regime that is killing our people, a regime that has destroyed lives, a regime that has destroyed the economy, destroyed the livelihoods of Kenyans. So, up to them. Let everybody make a decision. That is why they give you an individual ballot. They don't bring all the ballots to the SG to vote for them. Everybody will cast their vote. I have made up my mind on how I'm going to cast mine. Let everybody cast their ballots and live with their conscience.
Okay.
DRC took over. You cannot be hosting rebel movements here, and yet there is a democratically elected government in the DRC. So all of these things point to a total failure by the state. And there's a very pompous and pretentious gentleman who's a PS for Foreign Affairs who speaks what we call English of the nose. I don't know where that guy went to school. His goofs have contributed to this particular loss.
He was my classmate.
Did he still have that accent when he was in primary? He was newly acquired. Because after Besigye was extradited from Nairobi, actually abducted and sent back to DRC, he was on Citizen TV.
Uganda.
Yeah. Back to Uganda, he was on Citizen TV spewing a lot of nonsense. This is not something that we can stand for as a country. And I'm glad that this AU thing is behind us now so that we can speak a few truths. Because there are people who have been trying to gag us and tell us, oh, if you say this, you will spoil your relations with Uganda, that I cannot condemn the abduction of Besigye, who is my personal friend, because Museveni will not vote for me. I am telling you, we told Baba that just because he was running for AU, we did not suspend our constitution. We did not suspend our constitution. If something is wrong, we have a responsibility to say that it is wrong. At the end of the day, there was nothing wrong with the candidate. Everybody agrees that we had a stellar candidate. We had the best candidate. If you look at his reputation on the continent, if you look at the positions that he takes, but unfortunately, he was weighed down by these albatross across his neck, being the diplomatic goose of this country. So there is really nothing that William Ruto seems to be getting right. Not internal issues, not external issues. That is why he is insulting the public and telling them off every time he gets. He told us that he has a PhD and nobody should lecture him on anything. I've never seen a PhD who hangs out with class 2 dropouts, because what you do then is that you reduce the average intelligence to at least class 8. If you are just surrounded by, they say birds of a feather flock together. How are you a PhD hanging out with Sudi? That cannot be true. So we want